Now, what happened is that Alexander Afenyomakin's case at the Supreme Court was that the allegation, the basis of the Speaker's declaration is unconstitutional. I mean, however, before the Supreme Court answers the constitutionality question, he asked the court to order the Speaker to reverse his declaration that the 4 seats are vacant. The Supreme Court said that Honorable Afenyomakin's allegation sounds good on the face of it and is worth investigating. However, since the investigation will take some time, the Supreme Court will stay the Speaker's ruling from coming into effect until the investigation is concluded. Now, if I want to just draw down to the point, does the problem make the order unenforceable? The problem you have enumerated previously, as in whether or not to use stay or reverse in this case, is the Supreme Court's order unenforceable by the conduct of Parliament or the lack of action in Parliament yesterday? Are there two orders pertaining, one in Parliament and one by the Supreme Court? One by the Supreme Court that has not been enforced.
Well, yeah. So if you take the Supreme Court's order on the face of it, it is simply saying that the court, Parliament should stay its the execution of its declaration. Mm-hmm. And I think that the court's using of the word stay was, in a way, ineffectual, because what the court was seeking to stay from happening had already happened. So the previous day, which was the 17th, Parliament declared the seat vacated, and then the balance of the balance in the House, changed, so that the former minority became majority, and the former majority became minority. Okay. So if the court is making an order which is directing the Speaker to stay the execution of that declaration, that could not be something that would be done, because it has already happened. The changes have already occurred, and in fact, it's based on those changes that the plaintiff, that is Honorable Afenyomakin, went to the court to ask the court that, look, this is what has happened in Parliament, and I'm asking you to reverse. So the order is, as it stands on the face of it, has some problems. But when you read the order together with the proceedings that are in court, the processes that were filed in court, you could see that the stay could be replaced with the word reverse. Now, when the word reverse is replaced with a stay, what is going to happen is that then Parliament would have to take a decision for the reversal. That it would have been a different thing if Parliament was in the process of taking the decision and the Honorable Afenyomakin went to court to stop Parliament, and the court said Parliament should stay. That way, then the stay would have, had an immediate effect, probably, freezing Parliament from going forward, right? But in this particular situation, the event had already happened. So if you're asking them to stay, that was not going to be possible. So until we read the orders broadly and replace it with reverse, which I think is the proper word or the proper order that should have been given, nothing could be done. Now, I believe that the order should be read broadly, especially when it is not in contempt proceedings. In contempt proceedings, because of the criminal sanction that comes with it, you could, you have to read it strictly to make sure that no one is punished on a vague order. But at this point where we are still not yet at the contempt level, we are dealing with situations of probably deliberation. If the order is replaced with reverse, then Parliament would have to act to be able to reverse. It is that action that I suspected was going to happen yesterday when the Speaker announced that he had received the processes. I suspected that if Parliament was properly constituted and there was quorum for business, I believe the Speaker would have opened the orders, read to the House, and even from the conversations that the two sides have been having, you could see clearly that there was going to be a discussion of whether the Speaker or whether Parliament should comply with the order, and if so, how to comply with it. That deliberation was definitely going to happen if the House was properly constituted. But unfortunately, we couldn't have we're not blessed with that deliberation.
Okay.
We're not blessed with that event because one side of the House decided not to show up at all. And that is where I see a challenge. Now, even if that side decide now to come to come into the House, into the chamber, and the other side, that is the NDC side, also decide not to come, we will still be where we are. So that is why some of us believe that when there is conflict in Parliament, it is a political conflict. And politics is always resolved or must always be resolved by political means. And when I say political means, I mean by deliberations, by negotiations, by discussions and diplomacy. I always have a problem when matters are happening on the floor of the House and some individuals, either in the House or outside the House, rush to court